Hello everyone, and welcome back to lesson 4 here of my free acoustic guitar series, lessons on how to play the acoustic. My name is Kirby Swinnermer, and today we're going to actually play a song, and I'm going to show you something today that if you can master what I'm going to show you here, and it's not a lot of work to it, but you have to practice it like anything else. Up until now we've only been talking about playing a couple of chords, but this is going to extend into other chords as well when we get into it later on. But I'm going to show you something in terms of rhythm that if you can play what I'm about to show you, you will be miles above a lot of players who've been playing for 20 and 30 years and have never really learned anything beyond just playing the guitar. I mean, anybody can pick up a guitar really and learn and strum some chords, and hopefully they can keep a rhythm going and it sound okay. You know, the drunker you get, the better they sound, you know that old saying? But you don't want that. You don't want people judging you by that. You want people saying right off the bat, wow, that guy can play a good guitar, it's a good rhythm, it's smooth, it's clean, it sounds a little fuller than what I'm used to hearing at my local tavern or whatever. And so what I'm going to show you here is not earth-shaking, but it's different. And I'll even go as far as to say this. I've watched some well-known musicians in country. I'm talking country music here, old country. But if you went back and looked at some of the old footage of some of the older musicians who are maybe no longer with us, and even some today who are still around and are playing rhythm guitar by themselves, you'll find very quickly if you find a few of these clips, I won't mention any names, but there's plenty of them out there. A lot of these people are not doing what I'm going to show you today. All right, their rhythm skills are that weak that even I can sit back and say, wow, I can't believe, this person is high up on the food chain of country music, if you will. Maybe they've gotten there because of writing skills, or they just had the right contacts, or maybe their skill set is in vocal talent and not so much rhythm talent. But I'm sometimes shocked by the lack of rhythm skill that I see in some well-known people. And it's just, I don't know what happened, they just never bothered to learn it. Maybe they'll pick something up from me today if they pay attention. Okay? And what you're going to see here is it's nothing earth-shaking, but it's a very simple technique, and it's not used by everybody. It's really quite astounding. Okay, so we were talking about, let's just a quick review, we were talking in the last segment about just doing down strums over these strings to play these 3 major chords that we talked about live in a family of chords really when you're talking old country style music, and that's the A chord, the D chord, and the E chord. And to get to these chords, if you're starting in A, you slide this finger up a fret, lift these two, and kind of put this guy in the middle here. So by this guy's on the G string, that one's on the bottom E, and your root note is the D note. That's your D chord. This is the root note for the A, and we said that's just played with the D string, the G string, and the B string all on the same fret. You can also play it that way if you want to stay away from that bottom string, because that's not part of the A chord, it's a variation. You can just put your fingers underneath the strings back here, and when you strum down, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got my finger kind of as underneath there, and I've got that laying underneath my bottom string, and I can get away with playing my A chord and not actually play that open E at the bottom, because I've got it muffled with my finger hanging underneath. Same with this top finger on the thumb here. I can muffle that E string out of the way if I just want to play it. I'm playing 5 strings, or 4 strings I should say. I'm playing 4 strings here instead of typically I'd be playing 5 if I play the right way. But you can play it that way as well. And then the E chord, this is just a simple quick rotation of this index finger down a string and over towards the nut. Right, over and down 1, and then these guys come up 2. And so you're playing the A and the D string here. And you got all 6 strings, nice clean ringing sound. And for an exercise you can just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You can count to 8 if you want to, right? And then do the change. But the idea is to not panic and do too much thinking about where your fingers have to go, because like I said, you don't really have to think. You got to slide one and surround it with the other 2, and this one's just a little bit of a rotate. And this is why I've picked the A chord, D chord, E chord to start you off with. And we're going to spend a little time on these 3 chords because you don't have to stretch across 3 frets like you do with a C. You don't have to squeeze all 6 strings to get a sound like you do with the chord from hell, the F chord. For most guitar players who are just learning, this is a nightmare chord, the F chord. And the G, of course, is only a 2-fret chord, but we're going from the top into the bottom here. We've got to stretch across. Whereas this way here, your fingers are fairly close together and we're hanging out in 2 frets. It's a fairly easy move once you do it a few times and you practice just moving between the chords like this. Alright, now what I want to focus on here is a little bit more on the right hand now in terms of how to make this sound a little bit better than that, because you could play a song like Busted Flat in Baton Rouge, shading for a train, right? You could do Bobby McGee and do all downstrokes, but that would sound kind of goofy. Maybe not if you're, if you play it in front of your family, they probably won't laugh at you, but if you go out and play that in public, somebody will probably be throwing tomatoes at you. They're expecting you to do a little more than just play downstrokes. Interestingly, that song, Chris Christopherson, you probably know this, maybe some of you don't, he was a helicopter pilot for oil rigs. He was flying people off for oil rigs down in Louisiana. And he wrote Bobby McGee while sitting in a helicopter on an oil rig, waiting to transport some people back to the mainland. So interesting where inspiration can come from, sitting in a helicopter just with a notepad and writing down some lyrics. Anyway, so how can we expand this and make it sound a little better than this? Well, if you play the root note of this chord, which is the A, and do a strum, and then play the root note again, and then go up, down, you'd end up with root, down, root, up, down, root, down, root, up, down, and you end up with this. Same thing on the D. If I start on the D, you just play root, down, root, up, down, root, down, root, up, down. And up to the E, if I did the same thing, just the top string is your root. You've taken this and you've added some color and some flair to it by just playing, just changing the pattern. You're automatically coming into a smooth kind of a smooth style of playing rhythm, right? So you can jump around by just playing that pattern, practice that a little bit, and just do a count of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, note, up, down, note, down, or root, down, root, up, down, root, down, root, up, down. Alright, now I'm going to take you one more step. You can practice that and work on that one, and then the next level from this, while we're on these 3 chords, because these concepts are going to expand out into other chords when we get there. But I want to milk this for what we can, because you can play a lot of songs with these 3 chords, and if you get this rhythm pattern figured out the way I'm showing it to you here, you'll be miles above most people who play rhythm in your local area, I can guarantee it. Let's go one step further now. Instead of playing a note or a root, down, root, up, down, let's play root, down, bass, up, down. And the bass on the A, by a bass I mean a bass note, because if a bass player was playing, if I had a bass player sitting there with 4 strings, he'd be playing this little bass back and forth. boom, 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 boom. You can do that on the guitar as well. So on the A, instead of playing, you play this. You play root, down, bass, which is the E string up top there. So the A and then the E above it. Root, down, bass, up, down. Root, down, bass, up, down. Instead of root, up, down, you go root, down, bass, up, down. Root, down, bass, up, down. Root, down, bass, up, down. And on the D, you do the same thing. Root, down, and then the A string above it, the open A, the fifth string up. Root, down, bass, up, down. 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 Root, down, bass. It's that A string right there that's built into your chord. All right, root, down, bass, up, down. Root, down, bass, up, down. Hear the bass player? Go right into the rhythm now. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Now that don't mean nothing, but it's free. A7. Feeling good was easy, Lord, when Bobby sang the blues. Feeling good was good enough for me. For me and Bobby McGee. From the coal mines of Kentucky to the California sun. So you get the idea how simple that is and how underutilized it is. Because when I watch somebody playing rhythm and they're doing this, Bobby thumbed the diesel down just before it rained. Took us all the way to New Orleans. First of all, they can't keep the count, or they go to the D chord. This is a real sign of an amateur. When they go to the D chord and do this. They play all 6 strings on a D chord. You hear that open E at the top? That is gross, right? That's not supposed to be in there at all. But you will often see guys who play, they're just, all 6 strings are in play, it doesn't matter where they are, and they've got no, they've got nothing nice and tight. You need to have a little bit of a, we'll get into bass runs and stuff later, but even that pattern there, you can expand that a little bit further. I won't complicate this anymore today because I think I've given you enough to chew on here for the next day or so. But if you stick with these 3 chords, just play with these 3 chords for a week or so. And because what I'm teaching you right here with bass note and just this note down, bass up down is as far as we're going to go in terms of getting a nice solid rhythm sound going. It doesn't matter if we use this on any other chord structure, it'll work the same way. But the idea is to get used to playing this. Work first with the root note and just play the root if you just want to do it without the bass. Just root, down, root, up, down, root, down, root, up, down, root, down, root, up, down, root, down, root, up, down. And if you want to get brave, then you can do a root, down, bass, up, down, or root, down, bass, up, down. Sing the blues. Nothing but it's free. Feeling good was easy, Lord, when Bobby sang the blues. Feeling good was good enough for me. Good enough for me and Bobby McGee. Alright, so there we go. That's your magic bullet for today, if I can put it that way. You learn that little skill right there. With these 3 chords, you can play a ton of songs, and even if you can't sing it, you can always put a capo on, which basically replaces this nut, and all these chords would be the same. Doesn't matter, and you can sing a lot of songs. But this rhythm pattern back here, and that's just one pattern. There's many patterns. We'll get into a few more later on. But that little skill right there, learn that, and you're miles ahead of most people playing rhythm right now. out there. All right, folks, we'll leave it at that. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.